All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 10x Your Listings Challenge, our weekly live session. If you are new here, we're thrilled to have you. I will give you a very quick overview of what this is all about. Most agents actually are sitting on gold mines of untapped seller leads. They just don't know them. This could be past clients, sphere of influence, open house visitors, expired listings. They're all there. But the problem is without a very strategic system, those leads go dormant and you end up chasing instead of building a real pipeline. So that is what this listings challenge is all about. The next 60 days, we basically structured a program to help you build the systems, the content, which is like the assets, and really the infrastructure to generate consistent seller leads for the next 12 months. And we are basically going to do this entire transformation in this period of time. We are halfway, well, we're a little less than halfway there. We're about 20 days in, and we are going to pick up from where we were last week. So, as you can see, I have up on what you hopefully can see is what says your listing offer package. That was basically what you saw we created last week. And we asked everybody to, as your homework for the week, to create your listing offer package. And I'm calling this your due phase offer. And I'm going to explain what that actually means because I got some questions of how is this different than our lead magnet offer? And so I just want to clarify that in the beginning as well. So let's jump right in. All right. So I'm just going to summarize what we talked about last week. So first, I'm just going to start with why you actually need a listing offer package and what it actually is. So every agent does basically the same thing, right? They say the same thing in terms of what their unique value is. They talk about marketing, they talk about staging, they talk about their negotiation skills, they talk about their experience, and they talk about how many homes they've sold, right? So sellers actually just see you as another agent with the same services. So it is so hard for a homeowner to differentiate between what you do and what someone else does. So the solution to this from a marketing perspective is to actually package up everything that you offer into a branded system that makes sellers actually think, whoa, I totally want this. This is something I have never seen before. Okay. That is the goal of a listing offer package. Now, the basic thing that it is answering is why choose me over everybody else. That is basically what it's offering. So what we talked about last week was Stacy's system, the value up system. It's her proprietary process designed to do all the things that every seller wants to do, right? Maximize their home value, minimize their time on the market, and reduce their risk of leaving money on the table. That is what every seller wants. No different for anybody. So her system helps to address all of those concerns, and it gives her a competitive advantage in how she speaks. And for the actual seller, when they know that you have a system in how you do things and you do it that same way consistently to get the results, it does a few things for you. Number one, it actually allows you to streamline the process. Number two, it shows them that you have a way, a defined way in which you get results. So when they push back on something that you know you need to do, it, like, let's say it's staging and they push back on it, it gives you a reason to say, well, we get the results that we get because we follow this system. And that is what you signed up for. So it really is important to have that system. Now, when you started working with Agent Moves, if you are an Agent Moves client, we created your unique value proposition and we packaged it up into your method. That is basically the method that we use to build your listing offer package. Okay. So we talked about what was actually included in it and what it is, right? What's included in it is basically your process from prep to close, clear pricing, marketing, negotiation strategy, guarantees, risk reversal, right? Making sure that they feel totally comfortable, that there is no risk in working with you because you remove that risk in what you are offering them. It is a really, really clear, structured plan, right, of how the home is going to be sold. It's not like any vague agent promises. It is very specific, right? A lot of agents will say something like, yeah, I do social posts and I'll do your, your video and your tour. That's very generic. And that is what every agent is saying. This is what makes you stand out and be different. It is very precise in how you may do something. And I think the main thing to remember is that it removes any sort of uncertainty that they would have in working with you. It makes it so easy for them to say yes, that they would feel stupid to not say yes to you. That is the goal of how we present this package. So I want to explain one key concept that I think is really important, and I didn't explain it last time, but I got some questions in terms of what's the difference between this offer and our lead magnet offers. So the lead magnet offers, as in your seller guide or your buyer's guide or your neighborhood quiz or whatever else you are offering, right? So the way that I like to think about it is using this marketing concept that was actually not created by me. It was created by Google. It is called See, Think, Do. It is the framework in which they use to define exactly where somebody is, like a seller, in their journey of selling their home. So it starts really at the top, and I'm going to draw it right here just so you can kind of understand how this works. So it starts at the top in the C phase, and the C phase is basically your target addressable audience. It is all the people that you could potentially work with. So this is not everybody in the world, right? This is people who own a home in your market area. That would be what it is. So if there's 10,000 homes, right, that would be your market size, right? That's your target addressable audience. It does not mean they are selling. It is just the total people you could go after that could sell at any point. Okay. The think stage is anyone who is thinking about selling. This doesn't mean that they have made an active decision to sell, but the things that they're usually thinking about is like, when should I do it? My kids have just, I'm now an empty nester. Should I think about this? Maybe this is something I'm considering, right? That they're literally thinking about it. So not everybody who thinks about it actually goes and does it, but they are in this phase of thinking. The do stage are the people who have decided right now that yes, I am actually going to sell. So they are ready to hire an agent. So when you are on that listing appointment, most of the time people are here. Now, I will say that sometimes you go on a listing appointment and people are actually here because they're exploring their options and they're making the decision if they want to go here. Now, we know the stats are basically that there's 60% home ownership in the US and people move every 10 years. That means 6% of your database is right here. They're going to transact. They are going to do. Okay. So that's 6% of your database. So if we were to, back into this, I'm going to say around 5 to 6% of your database is going to transact. In the think stage is basically only 10% of people in your total market. Everywhere else, right, which is 85%, is in the C stage. So that means most of the people that you go after are actually over here, right? They don't even know they want to do anything. But a lot of times where we spend our marketing effort is right here. But that's not where your audience is most of the time. So what we try to do is target your marketing assets and your marketing programs to the stages of this journey. So there are things that we recommend you do here, like your market video, right? That is something that is completely useful to somebody in the C stage because they don't have to be selling or not. That is how you build awareness for yourself. So the market video is a great example of something you do in the C stage, but that doesn't mean you can avoid everything else, right? So your think stage is actually the lead magnet, right? Those are like, here is my process for how I sell a home. This is my playbook, right? That is the lead magnet is a great example of what you offer to someone who is thinking about it, right? Or it could be literally a lead magnet of the 5 mistakes that people make when timing their sale, right? Whatever it is, it's the people who want to understand what the best approach is. That's the lead magnet that would go here. Now, what we have been talking about is your literally your listing offer package, that is something that's usually between right here. It's not necessarily that they're always in the do, but they are really heavily getting there, right? Because they're now wanting to see what makes you different from everybody else. So where this fits into the journey is down at the bottom. Okay. And so that's what actually makes the goal of your listing product is essentially the goal is to get them to, without a shadow of a doubt, understand that you are the best agent to do the job. Okay. So that's why knowing your stage is really, really important, because when you actually are doing this and doing it right, you will make sure that you know exactly why you are doing what you are doing. So when you're doing your market video, who are you doing it for? So what are you going to offer them at the end of that? Right? When you do your, 5 mistakes that sellers make when prepping their home for sale, what stage are you in? Who are you targeting? That is going to help you know what videos to give them next. That's going to help you know what offers to provide them, right? You're not going to send every single person to your listing package, right? Because they're not there. They're not even considering selling. So let's talk about where you would actually use this offer. So we put this offer on a landing page. A landing page is not your full website. It is one page that essentially has one goal. Is the listing package between the think and the do? Yes, it is between the think and the do, but some people are already in the do. They know they are interviewing agents and they're meeting with you. They've made the decision they're going to do something. So it can be in the do, but it can be on the border of think and do. That's like when you get the listing appointment where someone comes in and then they're interviewing agents, but then they don't do anything. They decide not to put their home on the market, right? That was that they weren't completely in the do stage. They were in the think stage. So the way that we actually frame up, or where we actually put your package, is on this landing page. And a landing page has one goal. That's why it's different from your website. Your website does a lot of things. It shows that you're an agent. It lets them search on the site, lets them search for properties. It lets them do different things. A landing page has one singular focus and goal. And that is where we want to put this offer. It sets very clear expectations. It informs them of what they're going to get when they meet with you, right? Like in that consultation. And it ensures that the time that you spend with them and that they spend with you is going to be worthwhile. It's a great way. This particular landing page is a great way to filter out people who weren't ever going to do anything anyway. So it's a really good way to actually do that. So let's talk about what this kind of looks like. I'm going to show you an example, and I'm going to show you Stacy's example. Make this a little bit bigger. So Stacy's, literally her package is the Value Up Sell with Certainty plan. And this is an example of the landing page. This is for a very specific market like Tenafly. And it is giving a very specific call to action to book a consultation, but it has this way in which it is removing a risk so that someone feels super comfortable with booking the consultation with you. So as we go through this page, I'll just talk through at a high level why these things are on here. So one, you want to just establish your credibility really, really fast, right? As soon as you can establish your credibility, that you have years of experience and whatever. We're going to put more stuff down below, but you want to establish your credibility. Then you want to provide them what is called a VSL. A VSL is a video sales letter. It's a short 3-minute video that explains literally what you're offering, right? That's as simple as it is. This is really, really important to do. Literally a 1-minute video is worth 1,000,000 words. It goes a long way to establishing your credibility. The other thing that this page is going to do is give them some additional value. It's kind of like bonus value, where this right here, if they download, it's essentially a report of what is happening in the market, right? It's literally what the numbers actually show, what's happening. It's a quick explanation of what is happening. We're not putting this behind, they don't have to opt in to get this. We are basically giving them additional value on what's happening in the market. This is going to just establish your credibility right away for this. And then, oh, you got your video ready? Okay,
Oh,
good.
you want me to play it or say it?
No, say it.
Yeah. No problem. Most homeowners in Tenafly don't need to sell. And that's exactly why the margin for error is so high when they do. With values near historic highs, low inventory, and buyers being far more selective than headlines suggest, selling here isn't about exposure, it's about leverage. And the truth is, in a low volume, high value market like Tenafly, the biggest risks aren't that obvious. They're subtle. Spending six figures on improvements that don't move luxury buyers, launching before the buyer pool even knows your home exists, or pricing based on comps instead of real time demand behavior. None of these mistakes feel dramatic on day one, but they quietly erode leverage. And once it's gone, it's almost impossible to get back. And this is where most listings underperform without the seller ever realizing why. Not because the home wasn't beautiful, not because the agent wasn't hardworking, but because the strategy was designed to list a home, not to protect and maximize leverage in a market like this. And that is why we built the Value Up Sell with Certainty plan, not as a marketing package, but as a decision framework. Before anything goes live, we start with a room by room value up review. We identify which improvements actually influence Tenafly's luxury buyers and which commonly waste time, money, and momentum. For many sellers, this is the first moment they realize how differently high end buyers are actually behaving. From there, we don't post your home, throw up a social post, do an open house, and call it a day. We launch your home deliberately. Your property is positioned like a product, not like a listing, with Fortune 100 level marketing strategy, cinematic video, precision digital campaigns, and a controlled VIP launch weekend designed to target the strategic buyer, create early demand, and competitive tension. But what matters just as much is what happens behind the scenes. From day one, you'll have a dedicated client concierge managing timelines, vendors, and logistics, so you're never guessing what's next. And every week, you'll receive clear marketing performance reports showing how buyers are responding, where interest is coming from, and when strategic adjustments matter. This isn't guesswork, it's a disciplined system built around real buyer behavior. We've applied it across more than a billion in sales lifetime, hundreds of five-star reviews, and an average sale to list price above 100%. And here's something most agents won't say because it requires confidence. If after 90 days you're not aligned or confident in the plan, you can walk away. No penalties and no pressure. Because we don't rely on contracts to keep clients, alignment does. If you're even considering selling now or later, the smartest next step isn't committing to apps to anything. It's understanding what your home would command if you did and what strategy would actually protect your leverage. And that's what the value up consultation is for. It's a private, no pressure review of your home, the current Tenafly market, and whether selling now even makes sense. If it's not the right move, we're going to tell you. Book your value up consultation below.
All right. So tell me, have you ever heard anybody, and you can put this in the chat, have you ever heard an agent speaking like this about what they offer?
I gotta love it.
No, agents do not speak like this. They do not have a very clear way in which uh, no one says it like Stacy. They don't have a very clear way in which they explain how they differentiate. And that is what is different, right? This also doesn't feel so salesy. It feels like I am here to offer strategic advice. I am here to help you through this process because I understand what it is, what it's like. So that is the aim that you're trying to do. Yes, Stacey.
I just think that, like, no matter what, at some point, there's some part of this that always sounds somewhat sales like because you're in sales. We're in sales, you know? It's not something we can 100% avoid. We are in sales. I think what we forget is how much value we have to offer. And all of these things we're doing are just different ways of sharing with people how much value we offer. And again, like you said, trying to tap into those people really early on so that when they do make the decision to call somebody, they're calling us, not somebody else. And I think and the other thing about what I love about the product offer is if you already have a program or a listing package you're doing, this takes that and puts it into a different format, so to speak, which is what we did last week, right? I have my program, and then you're like, okay, now let's put it into a program that's even more jam packed, that comes risk free. Like you almost took the very best parts of what I was already doing and made it even better, shorter and sweeter, and gave it to me in like a nugget. That's how I see it.
And if you guys haven't done this already for yourself, creating this, we did create a prompt in the prompt library. It is under the seller journey offers, right? There's actually 3 of them, but this one is the one that you're going to be looking for. And you can use this prompt to help you do it. It does require your, you want to attach that market research to it because that's how it helps the GPT understand what you're trying to do and the motivations behind your core target audience. So you do want to provide that, but this will help you come up with your offer package if you have not done it. It does go into all the different things that you need as a part of it, right? Like we have this friction reduction layer with the control layer. How do we give them reassurance, right? All this stuff is built into the prompt. So you just have to use the prompt to make it work. Okay. So going back to the page, right? All the stuff that we talked about ends up going on here, right? The key things stay up front, but then we literally list it all out, right? When you list it out like this, it is super clear to them what you are bringing in value. Okay. So that all goes on this page, and then they can actually book their consultation across as they're scrolling, right? At some point, they're going to book it. And, they may go back up and read it again, and then they will end up booking it. That's why we actually keep the call to action the same and across multiple parts of the page. This actually will provide we want to give credibility to you. We want to say like hundreds of people have done this, right? So that's why you want to integrate your reviews to this. And then you want to have your bio so that they understand about you. And then again, just ending with booking your consultation. And you want to make it really easy to book your consultation so that they are able to just find time on your calendar and literally book it. Okay. So this will be created for you. That's the good part. A lot of people have to do this on their own. We will actually do this for you if you are an Agent Moves client. And with that, all you have to do is send what your offer is, what specifically you have agreed to do. We cannot do that part for you because this is going to likely change the terms of your listing agreement. You may decide to offer something that is additional and bonus that other people don't offer. So you have to decide on what your offer package actually looks like. So once you do that, we will create you and design you a custom page like this that you can use. We also, in this prompt, if you scroll down, you sometimes will see a next step prompt, which is what we call a follow-up prompt. A follow-up prompt you use it in your same chat, right? And it says, using the offer that you just created, right? Create me a script for my VSL. VSL is a common term. It will understand what that means. And that is for the script for your actual video. It's a short 3 to 4 minute video that goes on to the page. We do want that. If you want this to be good, you have to have that. So we recommend doing that, sending it to us, and we'll actually get it created this week. It's super fast. All right. So just going back, a big question is always, where do I use this page, right? There is no point in us creating a funnel for you if you are not going to use it strategically. You have to use it, right? It's great to have these things and then list them out and go to your presentation with it, but you want to actually do a few things beforehand. So first, when someone actually books the listing appointment with you, you should send them this page. That can be automated through Agent Moves or just send it to them. The reason is because it will reaffirm what you are going to talk about in advance. They'll watch your video in advance, right? And that is going to build trust before you even walk in the door. And most of the time, they would have already let down their guard and actually already decided to work with you, right? In their mind, they're already going to work with you. And so now you're going to break that ice right when you go in. You're going to reiterate those things, but they already know I haven't seen this anywhere, right? Because nobody's offering all of this. So that actually makes it super easy for you to get the conversion even at the listing appointment. That is not unheard of. That will actually happen when you go in like this and you use this as your asset. Okay. So you want to use it in your listing appointment when it's right before it's booked, you want to send that out. The other place that you can use it is once you have how does this coexist? Great question. That's exactly what I'm going to say. So when you have your lead magnet, so let's say you have your seller playbook, right? That has your steps. So Stacy says, here's my 3 steps to value your home, right? That is something she doesn't offer in the think or do stage. She offers, or in the do stage, she offers that in the think stage. So when someone downloads that, right, they're not looking to make an appointment with you. They don't know what they're doing. They're just considering, they're thinking about selling. They don't know if they're going to or not. So how we join these together is once they become a lead, because they downloaded your lead magnet, right? Then you can actually send them this page, right? Because if they are going to turn between being in the think stage to in the do stage, this kind of VSL and this kind of landing page will help them get there. So that's how you use it in conjunction with your seller playbook or your seller guide if you're using a seller guide. The other place that you can use it is again after your appointment. So remember, if you've sent it before the appointment, think about the value you get. Let's say you haven't signed the agreement and they're on the fence. They're going to interview other agents, which happens. If that is the case, then you want to use it as a follow-up as well. Like, hey, as a reminder, this is all the things that we talked about that are included if you work with me. That is actually an amazing thing to send to them as a follow-up, because as they're meeting with other agents, they're going to be realizing that agents don't offer the same level of value that you do. So you want to do that. We have some agents that ask that I don't want them to ask other agents about this. Like, will you send me a weekly marketing report? Right. And then they've given ideas to the other person. It's going to be super clear to them that that agent doesn't do this already, because they will ask, okay, show me. Right? Smart sellers ask, and sellers are actually getting smarter and smarter. So they will ask that question. And then the
I
other
think also the other thing is a lot of times sellers don't know what to ask. So I often prompt them. I'm like, well, here are what my other sellers just like you ask. And obviously I'm prompting him to ask me a question that I have a great answer to. And that automatically gives you, I think, a competitive edge to anybody else who's, just sort of being reactive rather than you who's being proactive, taking the initiative and saying, yeah, here's what you should be asking because this is what you should demand or expect. And you're only going to get it from me.
100%. The other, yeah, and also just Stacy uses it she has a follow-up that she specifically sends out, which is a success plan. The success plan in there says, like, here's what we talked about. Here's what we're going to do for you. And the last page of it is like, here are the questions you should ask other agents. This is what you should specifically ask. So you definitely should consider doing that. The other place you can use this is if you are doing paid Google ads. So let's think back to that funnel that I showed you, right? The see, think, do. So when you are doing social ads, right, you don't know what someone, like, you don't know if they're actively considering doing something, right? But you may know that they own a home, right? Because of their area or their interest, you may know that they own a home, but you won't really know this. Google ads are actually great for understanding, especially paid search ads. They're great for understanding where someone is in this, in this journey. So if someone's in the think stage, if you think about the keywords they're searching on Google, it's like, what's the value of my home, right? That is what they're asking. So those types of questions are great to know that they're in this stage, and you can make your offer in that stage. So Google paid ads are a great place to use this landing page because you already know that's where they are in their journey. You're not like, hitting them too early. And then the other place is in direct mail. If you are consistently either you're doing farming or you are sending out your market update, and then you also send out just sold postcards or like we do greeting cards, then you can actually use that as your call to action, right? If you want to get results like this, let me show you how I do it. Book a meeting, and when they scan the QR code, they can go to this page. Those are the main ways you want to use it. Do not overthink it. Do not try to think of all the different ways. It's this 5. Use these 5 ways. And even if the only thing you do after this call is you come up with it and use it as an email that you send out for everyone who books an appointment, that will go a long way to your conversion. All right. So if someone fills out a get my home value form on your website, would this be a place that you could use it? You can put it in the comments. Should you? I gave you the answer, so please just repeat it. So yes, you would use it. Good job, Jennifer. I love that. All right. Yes, you would use it here. So you would absolutely use it because they're in the think stage. You don't want your home value for nothing, right? There's some reason that you're actively looking. All right. Someone clicks on a Google ad for homes for sale. Yeah, that would probably tell you that they're maybe looking at what's sold in their area. Someone books a listing appointment. Yes, you would absolutely do it. Someone downloads your free guide. There's intent there, right? All right. Someone sees your just sold postcard and visits your website. Perfect time, right? That means they were looking at that result. They could be considering it for themselves. All right. Some places that you probably don't want to use it. Someone follows you on social. Would you just send this to them right away? No, not the right time to send it to them. Someone attends a general real estate seminar. Okay, well, the answer is no if it is a general real estate seminar. If it is a seminar that is on how do you prep your home for sale, then yes, that's the next step. All right, someone is just browsing your website. So a lot of times when they're browsing your website, they're doing property searches, they are potentially buyers. Not really the right time to send it. You want them to signal intent in some way, and that does not signal intent. Okay, so how do you know if this funnel is actually working, right? It mostly is going to be how that appointment actually goes, right? You're going to listen for these key things, right? It feels different. They appreciated this approach. They said that when I walked in, they said, "Oh, I watched your video," or they're nodding a lot when you're in that meeting, right? That is because they're understanding what you are actually saying because they've watched your video. All right. And I think the big thing is that you do want to make sure that you're sending this out prior to your listing appointment. Not everybody will look at it. Keep that in mind. They'll just kind of wait till you get there. So don't assume that they've actually seen it. So when you get to the listing appointment, make sure you have printed materials of this. So Stacy does this with the success plan. You may have your marketing plan or whatever assets. Include that as a part of what you're going to show so that they see that congruence between what you're telling them of what you offer and what you're actually offering. Okay. So if you have not done the offer, you haven't created your listing offer, you'll want to do that. You can use the prompt that we provided to you and create that. You want to have a funnel for this. You need a funnel, a landing page that highlights what this actually is. And you can actually do that very easily by letting us know what your offer is. That is the great thing about being an Agent Moves. You can actually get this done completely for you. We will create this custom page. Everybody's looks different. It's all based on your branding colors and your market, whether you're in luxury market or who you're actually targeting. We will make it very custom to you. And once you do that, you want to identify where you're going to start using this. I gave you 5 of the key ways to use it. You don't have to pick all 5. Pick the ones that are going to align with what you're already doing in this 10x your listing. So if you're doing postcards, probably a good place to put them. If you've decided to do paid ads, then this would be a place to use it. Come up with the places you're going to use it and we'll adjust automations based on that. So, we're very automation friendly. So there is likely an automation already happening when someone books your listing appointment. We can set that up to automatically send this page out so that they have the details. So you'll want to make sure that you do that and identify where you want to use it and adjust the automations to actually use this. Okay. So just to quickly summarize the system, right? You want to make sure that you have your funnel page because your funnel works for you while you are asleep, right? While you are not around, your funnel will work for you. So that is the beauty of funnels. You have to be using them, whether that is this one that we are creating now or your lead magnet funnel. Use them, right? So in social, make sure that you're using your lead magnet funnel, right? How are you getting people who are in this top of the funnel from social, right, to start moving through your funnel, right? This is how funnels work. They work while you are away. You have to make sure that you're actually using them, though, in the content that you're providing. Okay. And then every single one of these assets actually establishes you as an expert, whether it's your market video that you're doing up here or your lead magnet that you're doing here, whichever one you're doing, they're going to position you as the expert. And it's always these value driven assets that you are using. Okay. So that is actually it for the funnel. I want to just spend a couple of minutes to see if anybody has any questions. And if not, I'm going to go to one other topic, which is very specific to agent moves, which is really looking at your database and understanding how to filter your contacts and leads. Because it's really important to know who you're going after and who are likely, their intent is more likely to sell than someone else. And so we'll talk about that. All right. So any questions? Any questions? This is all completely clear. Don't be shy. Okay. Okay. No questions. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is go into agent moves. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples using our test account because I don't want to show real leads, but I want to show you some examples of the kinds of people that probably are sitting in the think stage. And yeah, we will send out the recordings are always available on our YouTube channel. They're posted there right after. All right. So let's go into this. I'm going to share my screen again. All right. All right, so this is our test dummy account, basically. So there's not really a lot of data in here, but it will give you the gist of what we're trying to do. So I'm going into the contacts section. Within the contacts section, I am going to show you how to use the filters. And again, use the filters to understand where someone is in this journey we've been talking about. Now, we won't know exactly for sure, but there are some signals that you can get from your database just literally based on the information that we have in here. So if you think about it, when you likely want to use your Mofer message or when you want to call somebody, you want to hone in on the people that are more likely to do something. So my very first thing to tell you is that you want to call people that you know have transacted more than a few years ago. So that's the first thing. Because if they've just transacted, that's a waste of time. And people who have worked with you in the past are more likely to work with you again. So it's your lowest hanging fruit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to advanced filters. And we are in the contact section. And if you type in anniversary, you're going to get a few different options within here. You're going to get anniversary date, which is basically when they last transacted. If you specifically mentioned they were a buyer, it's going to say their buyer anniversary date. We also add in last transaction year so that you can make it easier, as in, I want someone who's transacted more than a certain amount of years ago. I would focus on anniversary date to keep it simple. And you can actually say and you can do a range. So you could do a range, or you could say it's more than, let's say, 12 months away, or you could say years, more than 2 years away. And then you can just apply this filter down at the bottom. I don't have any contacts that are like this, but you would have contacts that are like that. And that filter will help you do that. You could also add in columns that you want to see. Like if you want to see that transaction date by just going to manage fields. In manage fields, you can type in anniversary date and you are able to then add that column. So see right here, I added that column. They got this filter. Once you create this the way that you want it, like let's say this was how you had it and you had your filters applied, you can also just hit this save button and save it as something. So let's say I'm saving this one. I can actually share the information too once you create it, so that other people that have access to this or other agents in here have access to it. They can see the same list that you created as long as they have access to those contacts. but that way it kind of stays. You can see up here is my smart list called testing and all my contacts in there. So that's the first thing that you want to look at. The other thing is looking at actually SOI and people who have not transacted. So the fields that you want to look at is called type, and it is contact type. So that's just right here under contact information, type is. There are only a few options. We have 4 options. We have lead, current client, past client, and SOI. And in the SOI, we differentiate between past client and SOI. So past client trumps it, right? That means that if they are in your SOI and they were a past client, they will be marked as a past client. If they are in your SOI, meaning you have met them, but they have not transacted or done business with you, they are considered SOI. We like to differentiate between that because that's going to help you go after your next set, right? So people who are in your SOI would be the next one to go after. From that point, you would go after leads. And then what you can do is on leads, you can add a nested filter and you can put lead type. And if you have identified these, you can, lead type. You can actually put lead type is seller. Oops. We could do buyer and seller, but seller, right? So if you run open houses and your open houses come in and you're running our open house, your agent moves open house, they will be identified. The lead type is always identified. They actually self-select what they are. So you will know that, and then that would be your first list to go after. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are kind of going in that order. That is just at a very basic level what to go after. You can also see in opportunities who is actually already in your pipeline. So if it's someone that you or another agent's already talking to, you don't probably want to create a sales opportunity from there, but you've got your active deals pipeline, which is all your current clients, and your sales pipeline is basically everybody else. So if they are already in here and you're talking to them, right? That's still an opportunity for you. But let's say they're in this opt-in nurture. That probably means that they are thinking about it. Something made them opt into what you did. So maybe they went on social and they got a lead magnet that you offered up, right? They're going to automatically come into the opt-in. That is the think phase. So what do we offer them in the think phase? This new funnel. Right? That's the perfect thing to offer them. So you can also look at your pipelines to figure out who you're going after. I wanted to do that as a really, really quick overview because we were getting some questions. And as you know, there are trainings available within your training section. So you can actually see them down here. And as long as you are logged in to your training and you have access to it, it will appear there. If you aren't logged in or do not have access to it, just request it from us and we'll give it to you. We have training on all parts of the system. We also have a pretty comprehensive help center, and I'll actually show you where that is. On the help center, you can actually find it on the bottom of our homepage too, but it basically has everything you could possibly think of you can find here in the help center. And a lot of places have videos for it. So anything that you need help doing, just go here and you can search for it and we probably have it. All right. That was it for today. So let's see. What did Gwen say? I went through old contacts. That's amazing. That is so good. So Gwen went through her contacts and literally got a $2.5 million listing because she reached out, and a $3.5 million listing appointment in the same hour that came in on her Agent Moves number. That's amazing, right? It's so simple to reach out. So don't let not knowing who to reach out stop you. I just gave you a few key ways that you can reach out to some people. Don't overthink it, right? Just do it. Nothing beats your conversations that you're going to have. Curious, Gwen, did you use any of the scripts? What did you say? How did you reach out to them? All right. Maybe she's not there. Oh, there she is. Texted asking if he was short-term renting his house. Oh, interesting. That's awesome. All right, great. Okay. I just made it up. I like that. Okay, great. All right, that is our session. Just one last thing that I think is really important, and I did send out an email about this to everybody, but basically the best way to get listings is from your existing listings. You know this, right? Our agents here know that, especially if you have read the MREA book, you know that is That is the key thing, is having listings actually creates the opportunity for more listings. That is your natural real estate flywheel. So, what I want to do specifically, in addition to this meeting, is for your listing coordinators and even for you, is to go through some basic marketing tactics that you can use to better market your listings and give you the knowledge and the language to use to be successful in talking about marketing with your clients. That is like one of the key things you can do, right? Is be really confident when you're talking about marketing. And so I'm going to go through frameworks like you see here, see, think, do, but other frameworks that are going to help you to explain why you do things the way that you do. And it's going to use terminology that's really going to resonate with your seller and show that you are a marketing expert, and being a marketing expert makes you better at getting a better result for your clients. So we're going to be doing that. We are sending out the meeting invite. That will be on Thursdays, and we will do that over the next 6 weeks. There are 6 very specific trainings on how to market your listings. We do have automations within Agent Moves to do that. If you are not leveraging that, that's okay. We're going to go through them on the calls that we have, so you will see how they work, and you can always implement it for yourself. All right. That is all. Thank you guys. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Bye.